Good morning, everyone. So today we are going to continue talking about our Microsoft Excel's financial functions. Let's open up the file, my first book file that we used on the last class. Okay. So on the last class, we talk about some parts of financial functions that today we can finish all of them. So on the last class, we talk about the future value function, FV function that we use in order to find out the worth or the value of the investments or the loan at the end of the time of the contract time. So apart from that one, when we talk about the FV function, the next function that we talked on the last class was in per or number of period. Don't forget that whenever you have to use the financial functions, there are a couple of things that you have to keep in mind before you formulate that financial function. The first one is that you have to make sure that all of the time related units must be the same unit. For example, if we are talking about like number of months, then the time, okay, for sure. Like for example, in this one we find n per number of period, and if you would like to find number of months, that means the interest rate. You have to make sure that it is the interest rate per month. Also, when you talk about just like the payments as well, the payment must be converted, or make sure that it is the payment per month too. Otherwise, the calculation will be wrong. The next one, apart from the time unit that you have to consider, is about the amount of money too. Make sure that if the money is into our pockets, the amount of money is positive. But whenever you pay the money out, for example, when we talk about the payment, normally the payment is negative ones because you pay out. But anyway, you have to think carefully. Sometimes when you have to think about like when you are in the bank or financial institution side, the payment might be incoming payment. If it is incoming payment, okay, from your customer, that means it is positive ones. But I mean, like normally when you have to use these formulas, we think when we are the customer, the payment usually be the negative values. For example, if you have a look in this example, in this N per, we say that you pay $1,000 per month. So payment is negative 1,000. And by the way, when you get the answer for each value, you have to think about the possibility of those values as well. For example, when you are asked to find the time related value, for example, number of period, if your calculation result give you negative values, for sure it's wrong because the time will never be negative ones. Next, when we talk about the things like interest rate. If you calculate for interest rate and it's negative, that is wrong too. So you have to think about this logically, whether it is possible or not in here. All right. So when we talk about the N per function on the last class already, one thing that you also have to concern is about like the time as well. Like for example, sometimes the given information is like quarterly basis. That means the things that I usually see that students may do wrong for this calculation is about like when we have the quarter, when you ask for anything related to the quarters, somebody divided by 3 or multiplied by 3 instead of 4. Don't forget that in each quarter we have 3 months, but actually you don't use 3 for calculation. You have to think that in each year we have 4 quarters. then it means that normally if you have the interest rate for the the interest rate in quarter and you got the interest rate in per year นะครับ or annual rate, then that means when you have to find out the quarterly interest, we have to use the divided by 4 instead นะครับ okay right okay นะครับ so on the last class we finished at the function นะครับ that was the n per. So today นะครับ we will talk about like 2 more functions of group 1 and we use the knowledge in group 1 to go to the functions in group 2 นะครับ. The next function is PV or present value. Normally for the present value, okay, let me just like move down my screen a bit. For the present value or PV function นะครับ let's have a look on the PV function formula นะครับ. For the PV function, it is a function that returns present value of an investment นะครับ the total amount that a series of future payments is worth now นะครับ. For the present value of PV นะครับ one form of present value for the investment that you may see is about like the insurance. If you just like invest your money in terms of insurance, we expect that okay at the end of the period, that the contractual period, you should get the money with the interest from the insurance policy นะครับ. But I mean like if accident happened, for example, if somebody passed away นะครับ before the contract finish นะครับ the money will be returned to their ancestors, something like that as well. So that's why somebody just like prefer to have the insurance policy นะครับ as their investment. And in many countries, including in Thailand as well, for anybody who just invest in the insurance by just like buying นะครับ or making a contract and have an insurance policy, we can also like have the tax reduction as well นะครับ something like that. So let's talk about the example of the present value in terms of the insurance นะครับ Before we talk about that one a bit, let's see for the arguments in the present value function. In present value function, we also need to use like the same set of similar type of the arguments that are rate, n per, PMT, FV, and type. And bear in mind that all the function, all the arguments that you have to use นะครับ in each function, the order might be the order normally they are different นะครับ. So that means be careful that PV has like these orders นะครับ rate, n per, PMT, PV, rate, n per, PMT, FV, and type. Do not shuffle them นะครับ otherwise your calculation will be wrong. Okay, now let's see นะครับ I'll just like show you an example นะครับ for the PV function นะครับ just won't be long นะครับ Okay, let's see this function นะครับ let's see this example นะครับ This example, it talks about like present value of an annuity นะครับ let's understand the wording that we have to use in this set, in this example first นะครับ annuity นะครับ is the amount of money นะครับ is the amount of money that originally have when you start your insurance contract นะครับ when you start your investment นะครับ whenever we have to just like buy an insurance contract นะครับ we may want to know that okay how much is the present value นะครับ I mean like in terms of just like the payment that you have to pay นะครับ to the insurance in order to get just like the amount of money นะครับ by the way, when we talk about the present value of annuity, the insurance contract นะครับ is a bit different from just like other kind of investment in that when we talk about the annuity here to find the present value normally we the FV or future value is zero นะครับ future value is zero because I mean like if the insurance has to just like what to say the insurance company pay back to you or pay back to your ancestors something like that that means the future value is zero because they just like pay everything back to us so normally when we have to calculate the insurance for its annuity we always think that okay the future value is zero so in this one let's see when you are asked to find the present value for sure this one you are asked to find the PV so the PV arguments we need to have the argument like this okay these are the order of arguments in PV functions that it need to use begin with rate N per PMT FV and type okay so in this one okay let's interpret let's analyze this question it said that present value of an annuity okay then we list out the argument of the PV interest rate is 5% per year and payments of 1,000 per month so that means okay to make it easy you can see that we have the unit of time that are per year per month we normally set it up as per month because you can see that if you have a look on the last parenthesis of this example it said that payment made at end of each month that means you have to convert every time related units to be monthly basis so that means for the first part it said that interest rate of 5% per year then you have to change it to be the interest per month sorry so in this one when you need to have the interest per month you have to divide the rate 5% I put equals to 5% over 12 to make the interest rate to be rate per month okay next payment of $1,000 per month then you can enter you can enter the payment 1,000 by the way payment is paying out right then it must be negative values then I put negative 1,000 this one is per month too okay next over 5 years 5 years means the n per or number of periods you have to change 5 years to be number of months instead then you have to multiply 5 by 12 to be number of months okay next as I mentioned earlier when we talk about the annuity or the insurance policy when we find PV the FV or future value is zero that is the standard things that they have set up and lastly for the type the payment made at the end of the month then the type is zero the type is zero and then you can just like formulate the PV here so you can see that when I just like fill up all of the arguments for PV already the intermediate result is showing 52,990.70 cents this is the present value that we have got next let me just like type the function for you once again so that I can copy this one for you it is 5% over 12 comma 5 times 2 comma negative 1,000 comma 0 comma 0 okay oops sorry let me just like do the things. Okay. So I just like type this formula with the value so that it might be better for you than I just like copy this function to you. Because if I copy just like the function with the reference, some of you might not know that how do we get these values. Actually, it's the same in this one. Okay. Okay. So this is the present value function that we use in order to just like find out the present value of the annuity contract or the insurance contract. Okay. So in the present value function, I have just like one example for you. Okay. So for this example, do you have any questions? Anyone? Okay. If you don't have any questions, let's talk about the last function of this series. That is the rate function. The rate function is a function that we use in order to calculate the interest rate for the investment or for the loan. Okay, let's see the description of this function and the arguments that rate function needs to have first. For the rate function, it returns the interest rate per period of a loan or an investment. So you have to be careful when you calculate for the rate function. The percentage that you get as the output, you have to see the time units in other arguments. What is the time unit that we have that we use in other argument? For example, if you just like put the payment to be monthly payments, like payment per month, so in this one, it means that the interest rate will be interest rate per month. But if the payment is the quarterly payment, for sure, the rate will be the rate per quarter. Then you have to also check what does the question wants you to have to find. If you find out, I mean like from your calculation, you get rate per quarter, but in the question it asks you the interest rate per year. You have to change that interest rate from quarterly rate to be yearly rate. How do we gonna do? In 1 year, we have 4 quarters. Once again, if you can calculate the rate per quarter already, you multiply it by 4. It will become the rate per year. If you use monthly basis, you calculate, I mean the payment is payment per month, then the interest rate that you got will be interest rate per month. Then if you are asked to find yearly or annual interest, that is per year, right? You have to multiply the result that you get, that is from interest rate per month to be per year, by multiply it by 12. Okay, so let's see. It returns the interest rate per period of a loan or an investment. For example, use 6% over 4 for quarterly payments at 6% annual rate. Okay, in this one, it needs to use 6 arguments. This one is different from others functions that we studied before. What is a special argument that happened in here? It's guess argument. What is guess argument? Guess argument is the special argument that in the past we use in order to help Excel to calculate faster, because the CPU in the past was not I mean the speed was not high enough. So that means the way that Excel calculate for the rate, it just like use the trial and error. When it just like put that value in, it just tests for other things, and then if they match, they will just like return this rate to you. But otherwise, Excel will change to be will try on another rate, calculate itนะครับ if it's not match they just try another rateนะครับ calculate it they just like run like this many rounds until you get the rate that match with like all other information that you provide into this function that makes Excelนะครับto run slowly. So when it runs slowly people users had to wait and they were not happy about that. They said that okay, I can just like provide some information for the rate function that actually if we have other information like N per PMT, PVFV or type similar to this one, we got like some kind of rates before. For example, we know that it should be around, let's say 5%, or 5 point something %. Then you can just put that value in the guess argument. So Excel can run faster because when Excel try to just like check, it just check from the provided guess value first. Like for example, if you enter 5% in the guess, it just like start from 5% and check whether it's the match value or not. If it's not, then they just like move on to the next nearby value from 0.5, 0.05 or 5%. By the way, don't worry. Right now, Excel, when we just like run in the current model of computers right now, it's a lot faster. If you don't know guess values, you don't have to force yourself to enter any value. You can just like leave or omit that value. Or you can just like try some value as well or put some default value in it. So my suggestion, if you don't know, you don't have to just like enter anything. Let Excel to manage by itself because it is like a lot faster than in the past. By the way, some of you may have the question that why don't Excel remove this argument out? The reason is because some computers, when they run Excel, they still use like the old version of Excel. For example, if we are talking about like some companies, when we have the computers for accountants, actually the accountants, they don't need to just like use the modern computers because normally they work with the numbers only, and just like at most they may say that okay, I use Excel and PowerPoint and Adobe Acrobat to create PDF file, just that. I don't use other thing else. So that means if you go to many of the accounting departments in the company, they use like quite old computers. So that means those computers, if they just like have to run the rate functions, it might be just like still slow. That's why guess function may come to help. And it's just like the way that we have for the classic functions and its arguments. By the way, you may have the question that apart from accountants, why does Microsoft company need to just like leave guess arguments in the rate function? Is that be the only reason? I can tell you that no. Actually, we have another reason why guess argument is still here. The reason is because even though you have like a high-speed computer, like we have got right now, if you calculate for one cell for the rate, no problem. But sometimes if you are the financial analyst or financial consultant, you may have to calculate like, let's say, thousands of cells, talking about the rate to simulate the situation for your customer. So even though the computer has the high speed, but if you run rate function on 1,000 cells, those 1,000 cells will have to try a lot in order to find the correct rate to propose on Excel screen. Then it takes the time too. So if you run 1,000 cells with the same function rate, you update the whole worksheet to run the rate function at the same time. What will happen? the screen นะครับ on Excel if you have a look on my screen นะครับ at the bottom left corner right now my screen is showing edit right if I click cancel it shows ready นะครับ ready here means that it's the mode in Excel that you can type anything นะครับ but if you are running นะครับ for some functions like for thousands of cells at the same time and Excel hasn't finished calculating it it will show นะครับ other states than ready it might be just like running or waiting นะครับ or processing something like that you cannot just like when you click นะครับ on other cells it doesn't go because Excel is calculating something like that that's why นะครับ while you are waiting Excel to just like process the rate function for 1,000 cells at the same time it might be slowed down then in this one the way to help is that if you know some of the rate that can help Excel to process faster you may be able to enter the guess value in it but if you don't know don't worry okay right okay now let's see the rate function in here you just like know the basic ideas on the rate calculation already now let's see the example for the rate functions that we will see together okay. For the rate function here for the rate function here okay let's see in this question you are asked to find the monthly interest rate right so for sure it needs the rate function when it needs a rate function I just like prepare the list of argument for the rate function like this I have n per PMT PV FV type and guess for guess for sure I don't know I'll leave it like that I will just like omit this value okay now let's see in the problem monthly interest rate okay that means the interest rate that you need to find out must be interest rate per month don't forget that it must be interest rate per month okay in this one you want to clear a loan of 50,000 clear a loan of 50,000 means that when you have a loan of 50,000 on the first day of the contract PV is 50,000 positive in positive because you borrow the money from the bank the bank give you $50,000 so when the money is with you it's positive numbers it said that you want to clear a loan that means when the contract finish future value of this loan is zero okay payment of 1,000 per month payment is PMT 1,000 per month means negative 1,000 okay per month in this one when we say that okay over 5 years we have to change 5 years is n per you have to change number of years to be number of months instead so it is 5 times 12 okay and then payment made at the end of each month it is 0 okay guess I don't know I leave it so when we calculate the rates I use the function rates okay the first one is n per okay I'll type for you 5 times 12 comma PMT is negative 1,000 PV or present value positive 50,000 FV future value 0 type 0 comma guess I don't know when I don't know I leave it I will omit it I mean like I ignore that value I close the parenthesis straight away this one means you omit the last argument guess okay you can see that in here it shows 1%, right? Bear in mindนะครับ because these are not quite a lot of money, it shouldn't be 1% straight away นะครับ I think you should just like find out the decimal points as well นะครับ because I don't think it's 1%. Okay, so I prepare the decimal points นะครับ it is percentage. I leave per decimal place like 2 places. It's 0.62%. นะครับ okay, so if you just like prepare if you just like leave it like without changing, it shows just 1% for you นะครับ but actually in the real world นะครับ I think it's quite difficult to get like exact 1% rate นะครับ. so that's why I just like try to increase number of decimal point to see the percentage really, and it is 0.62 นะครับ percent per month. Okay, so let me just like copy this formula for you ครับ so if I just like do it again by using the rate function in the formula builder นะครับ and then I go to use the function, the formula builder box in here for the relative reference นะครับ so if you do like this นะครับ the guess value here you don't need to enter anything นะครับ leave it like that and click OK, or if you click on cell C96 like my one, there is no problem because I don't enter any value in cell C96 นะครับ anyway. Okay, then I just leave it like that ครับ so it is 0.62% นะครับ if you have a look you can see that by using this it is similar to my one ครับ you can see that นะครับ the things I want you to notice is here ครับ after C95 it doesn't have comma นะครับ if you have comma and you don't enter any value นะครับ or you leave or you finish this rate function with type, that means you skip guess argument. It's the same thing ครับ okay นะครับ then you get 0.62% for the interest rate. Okay ครับ everyone, up to this point do you have any questions for the first example ครับ for the rate function? Right, if you don't have any questions นะครับ I will have the second example นะครับ that I would like you to do it by yourself นะครับ to just like practice of doing it. Okay, let me just copy this question for you. Okay, so everyone, could you please spend 5 minutes in order to find out the monthly interest rate for us, please? Find out the monthly interest rate for us, please. 5 minutes นะครับ everyone, and if you get the answer already นะครับ please type what do I want you to type in นะครับ please do like this for me ครับ I want you to copy นะครับ the function like this นะครับ I want the argument to be the values like this instead of having the referencing like this นะครับ copy this one and paste it in the chat box along with the answer that how many percent per month ครับ okay ครับ 5 minutes นะครับ everyone please try it นะครับ so that you can just like practice on this one So anyone who finished already, please type your answer and share to everyone นะครับ and share to everyone นะครับ don't send it as a direct message นะครับ I want you to just like share to everyone so that they can have some guidelines. Okay, time's up นะครับ everyone. So right now, some of you shows your answer already. Let's see. Okay. Most of you answer for 0.33%. Some of you answer for negative 0.35%. Okay. Now let's see นะครับ which one is correct, which one needs to be adjusted. Okay. So now let's see นะครับ for this question นะครับ you are asked to find monthly interest rate. That's for sure you have to use rate function นะครับ then I copy the at least required argument first. Okay. So in this one นะครับ you can see that for the monthly interest rate นะครับ that means you need to have the rate per month for sure. Okay. Required to save to $20,000 over 2 years. In this case, it is the investment นะครับ because you would like to save the money นะครับ Okay. When you would like to save 20,000 over 2 years นะครับ 20,000 is your future value นะครับ that is your goal. You want to have 20,000. Then I put 20,000 in FV นะครับ because it is your goal to save 20,000 and 20,000 it must be positive values because in the future you want this amount of money นะครับ that's why it's a positive ones. Okay, next นะครับ with an investment of $800 per month. $800 per month means that you want to pay for saving $800, but when you pay out, it must be negative นะครับ it must be negative. $800 นะครับ this one is per month too. Okay, next นะครับ payments made at the start of each month นะครับ that means type is 1 okay number of period okay we say that over 2 years when other things are monthly basis นะครับ the number of period has to be changed to be number of month too so it must be months okay then I have to multiply 2 times 12 okay, to be 24 guess I would like to omit that value นะครับ I don't know นะครับ but PV for PV present value you would like to save 20,000 over 2 years that means today you still have nothing then present value is 0 ครับ these are just like the arguments that we are going to have นะครับ then I formulate rate function it is rate นะครับ n per is 2 times 12 comma นะครับ PMT is negative 800 นะครับ per month comma PV 0 comma นะครับ and FV is 20,000 positive นะครับ comma and lastly นะครับ the type is 1 นะครับ and I don't have guess so if you don't change the decimal points you see 0% per month that is not correct for sure then I just increase นะครับ the decimal points so in here you can see that the rate is 0.33% นะครับ the rate is 0.33% นะครับ in here or if you prefer to use the function rate นะครับ with the formula builder นะครับ you can do it as well I just click fx นะครับ and then rate followed by n per PMT PV FV type นะครับ and I don't know about the guess by the way นะครับ if you use the function builder or formula builder here I would like everyone to have a look on my screen นะครับ you see a pop up the function argument list right when you have if you are not familiar with that function นะครับ always have a look นะครับ always have a look here ครับ for the scroll bar here นะครับ because sometimes there is the argument that is lower than what you see you can see that right now it shows just 5 arguments but actually you still have the 6th one นะครับ luckily this function we don't I want to omit the guess value นะครับ but in some other functions the last argument that is hidden below นะครับ these 5 arguments might be needed so if you don't enter that value it may cause the error or it may make your calculation to be wrong so be careful นะครับ you always have to scroll down if the pop-up box just like show the scroll bar like this นะครับ in this one I scroll down and I think that I don't want to enter any guess then I click OK right okay right when I go back to other functions a bit นะครับ let's see like in PV function if I click on fx you can see that this one doesn't have scroll bar right so that means all of the arguments are in this visible box already you don't have to scroll up or down to see anymore while the rate function because it has more arguments than 5 that's why when you just like click to have a look นะครับ there is the scroll bar that you have to see what happened to the last one นะครับ something like that okay so in this function นะครับ finally in this example we get 0.33% นะครับ so do any of you have any questions ครับ about like the calculation here to get 0.33% per month นะครับ it is 0.33% per month anyone who get like the negative values for percentage นะครับ as I mentioned this morning that percentage in terms of the financial functions will never be negative นะครับ so you have to suspect that if you get negative value for percentage your calculation must have some arguments that is wrong นะครับ then go to fix it นะครับ okay right so if you don't have any questions นะครับ for this function นะครับ okay I will just like talk about the next set of functions that you have to learn the next set of function นะครับ that we have to learn about the financial function is the function in group 2 นะครับ we have two more functions that are IPMT and PPMT นะครับ let me explain to you ครับ actually IPMT and PPMT they are based on the same similar things นะครับ we study in group 1 already that is PMT function นะครับ but we have like one more character in front นะครับ one is I the other is P นะครับ let me just explain to you first before we go to talk about the IPMT and PPMT นะครับ actually if you remember นะครับ if you remember I told you before that นะครับ for the assumption นะครับ for the assumption of these financial functions that we have to learn okay I scroll up so that you see this one ครับ constant interest rate constant payment นะครับ okay I would like to focus on the word constant payment that we have got constant payment means that you pay equally in every time that you pay right for example in the first example of PMT is 943.56 that means over 60 months you pay equally 943.56 right because in this one say that it must be constant payment นะครับ so this one the things that I would like to tell you is that when we talk about the payments นะครับ it is like this okay the amount of money นะครับ the amount of money we talk about the amount of money that you pay นะครับ they are equals in every month right okay that means if you have 60 months from month number 1 นะครับ to month number 60 assume that these rectangles นะครับ represent the amount of money that you have to pay you pay equally every month นะครับ the size of the rectangles are the same let's say if I say that it is 943.56 นะครับ that you have to pay out okay I put negative value too okay what do we have to know inside นะครับ this amount 943.56 that you pay every month it consists of two amount of money ครับ two parts นะครับ inside it is principal plus interest นะครับ each month the amount of money consists of principal and interest when you add these two amounts together you get 943.56 นะครับ as your payment นะครับ so in this one นะครับ assume that I use principal as P and interest as I นะครับ so that I can explain to you easier principal is P and interest is I what is the what does principal means principal means the amount of money you borrow from that financial institution or the amount of money that you just like invest in that financial institution นะครับ or in that investment for example if you borrow $1 million from the bank นะครับ first month if you say that you have to pay back $100,000 the $100,000 that you return to the bank is not the whole lot นะครับ I mean like the $100,000 that you return to the bank นะครับ it does not return on that $1 million fully some parts you return to that $1 million but some parts is the interest that the bank asks you to pay so that means in each month that you pay $100,000 let's say if you say that the principal is $90,000 นะครับ that means when you have to calculate นะครับ the amount of money that you still owe the bank you have to subtract 1 million by 90,000 นะครับ so that means you still owe the bank $910,000 นะครับ some of you said hey but I pay back the bank $100,000 already why you just deduct just 90,000 from the money that I owe the bank for sure the bank has to charge you the interest ครับ so the first month they charge you is $10,000 นะครับ that's why you can return the amount that you owe the bank for $90,000 only okay this is a thing this is a fact that happened นะครับ we call the proportion of principal and interest นะครับ that every time that you return the money for the loan or when you invest your money นะครับ it's different okay now let's see นะครับ I'll explain to you that if you owe the money to the bank like for example you get the loan and you would like to return that money to the bank นะครับ what will happen I can tell you that every month that you pay equally นะครับ the amount of money is different okay so these are example of the proportions that you pay นะครับ the first month the amount of P นะครับ of principal is like this majority that you have to pay back to the bank is the interest นะครับ when the time goes by in month number 2 you still pay negative 943.56 to the bank นะครับ but the amount 943.56 นะครับ the proportion of principal is more นะครับ and the interest amount is less and less and less finally on month 60 when you still have to pay $943.56 to the bank majority of your payment is principal and you still have to pay interest less นะครับ something like this why does the bank charge you like this why the very first period that you pay นะครับ consists of interest rather than principal for sure ครับ the bank need to have the interest for you and they're still not sure that whether you still just like return all the money to them or not นะครับ that's why they charge you with the interest more when the time goes by they can rely on you that you can just like pay off your debts that's why interest is less and less and less นะครับ something like this okay so this is what I want you to see the proportion of principal and interest it will be changed over time นะครับ in here okay so now let's come back to our functions that we have to study the function that we have to study นะครับ is IPMT and PPMT what are they นะครับ if you have a look on these two functions นะครับ IPMT นะครับ is interest payment ครับ this function is used to calculate the amount of money that you have to pay in each period of time while PPMT is the principal payment นะครับ or we may call it as payment on principal นะครับ it's the amount of the principal that you pay นะครับ to return the money to the financial institution for on your loan นะครับ for each period of time. So the interest payments and the principal payment they are different นะครับ amount in each month. So that's why when you would like to find out the interest payment or principal payment, you have to know what month you are talking about, because if you have a look on what I wrote on the screen is that the proportion in each month they are different. That's why you have to know the month or the period that you have to pay to นะครับ Now let's see the description that Excel give it to us. What is it? For the IPMT, we begin with the IPMT first. For the IPMT, okay, go to IPMT. IPMT นะครับ returns the interest payment for a given period for an investment. See, I told you that you have to know which month, which quarter that you are talking about นะครับ that is a given period for an investment based on periodic constant payment and constant interest rate. Yeah, we still have the same assumption as usual นะครับ okay, for the IPMT we need to have these arguments ครับ rate per and per PV FV and type นะครับ we have a special argument than the regular five arguments in the first set of functions นะครับ that argument is per is period ครับ period of what? Period of the interest that we would like to know. For example นะครับ if you see in the, my written one, number one here is month one, right? Period is period one. This is two นะครับ month two or period two. This is month 60 or period 60. Then you put you put one in per, put two in per, and put 60 in per according to the period that you would like to see the interest นะครับ while other arguments they are the same นะครับ okay, so now let's see. I'll begin with the first example นะครับ that I show you how they're gonna find out the interest per specific period that we would like to know. Okay, let me just like give this one to you นะครับ okay, so in this example you are asked to find interest payment during month one and month two นะครับ so that means you have to find interest นะครับ for month one and month two. So I just like set up the list of argument like this นะครับ I have month number one and month number two here. Okay, and then I will just like do 1 month at a time นะครับ for entering all information. Okay, now let's begin with month one first. Okay, in here you are asked to find out interest payment. Yeah, so that's why I just like lay down all of the arguments that is required for the what to say IPMT นะครับ like this, and then I have IPMT here. Okay, during month one and month two, yeah, we prepare month one, month two already. A loan of 50,000. This case is the loan case. $50,000 นะครับ means that on day one you borrow $50,000 from the bank. They give you 50,000, so it's in PV นะครับ 50,000 positive นะครับ because you get the money from the bank นะครับ paid off over 5 years. Paid off means that FV is 0 นะครับ over 5 years By the way, in this one, you are asked to find interest payment of month during month 1 and month 2. So every arguments that are timely basis, you need to change them to be monthly นะครับ per month. In this one, you can see that in this one นะครับ 5 years นะครับ talking about number of period, you have to convert them to be number of month by multiply by 12 นะครับ okay, then I put months in here. Interest rate 5% per year นะครับ we are talking about rate, but interest rate in here you have to change to be interest rate per month too นะครับ I put per month, then I have to multiply 5%, sorry, I have to divide 5% นะครับ by 12 นะครับ so that we can have the interest rate per month. Next, payment made at the end of each month, type is 0 ครับ okay. Now we have argument per นะครับ when you ask for month 1, per is 1 นะครับ like this. Okay. Then I'll calculate IPMT นะครับ in this one you can see that in here I use IPMT นะครับ and followed by rate, that is 5% over 12, comma, per is 1, comma, n per is 5 times 12, that is 60, comma, PV is positive 50,000, comma, FV is 0, and lastly, type is 0 too. This is the IPMT that we have got. Okay, let me copy this one for you. The IPMT returns to us as negative $208.33. That means on month 1, the amount of money that you pay นะครับ as the interest for this problem is $200.33 นะครับ okay, let me just like use the formula builder to do the IPMT as well by using the reference. Okay. Rate per and per PV FV and type. You can see that intermediate result shows the same value นะครับ sorry, show the same value, that is negative $208.33 นะครับ in here same นะครับ okay. On month 2 นะครับ on month 2 what are we going to do ครับ the same เลยครับ we just like copy these values into month 2 except per ครับ per is period 2 because it's month 2, you put number 2 here นะครับ and then you can just like have the IPMT equals to IPMT (5% over 12, comma, period 2, comma, 5 times 12, comma, 50,000, comma, 0, comma, 0. So this is the interest for second month. Or I just use the formula builder to do the same thing. Same value นะครับ okay, so that means นะครับ you get the same answer นะครับ okay, doesn't matter whether you just like type this formula by yourself, or you just like choose the reference as we have got. What would I like you to see? I want you to see the difference between month 1 interest and month 2 interest. As I mentioned earlier, the amount of money you pay on the very beginning for the interest is more than the interest that you pay on other months. You can see that first month it is $208.33. On month 2 it's reduced to $205.27. You see that everyone? It's smaller for the interest that you pay. Now let's try something. Okay, I move these two cells out. Sorry. On another one. I want to insert month 60. Let's try. Sorry. Okay, on month 60. See what happened. I copy all the information here, and then I just like put period 60.5% over 12 for the rate. Period 60. N per is 5 times 12, that is 60 months. Present value 50,000. Future value 0 times 0. Okay. So this one, you can see that when you pay until month 60 until month 60, the interest is decreasing down to $3.92. $3.92. Okay, so I can just like put them in here. The first month interest is $208.33. On month 2, interest is going down to be $205.27. And lastly, interest goes down to $3.92. This is the information that we have got when we calculate the IPMT. We get the proportion of the information. Of the interest to be like this: the amount that you have to pay for the interest. Okay, for this example, do you have any questions for calculating the interest? Anyone? So if you don't have any questions, before I move on to the second example, another thing that I would like to tell you is that you have to be careful for the argument per that you use. You can see that when the contract is 60 months, the maximum value for months the arguments that you use, or the value that you use for the argument per is at most 60 only. If we use per at 61 while n per is 60, what does it mean? Contract finished already. When you try to calculate interest payment for month 61, it is error. Let's have a look. This one, you can see that it shows the error immediately. Error here, you can see that we call it as number error. The error shows as hash and num, means that there is something wrong with the numbers in the argument that you enter. Then you have to go and find which number is invalid. And you can see that per is invalid because n per or contractual period is 60 months only. Then at most, you can enter up to 60 months. What about month 0? If you enter month 0 as per 0, it's error as well นะครับ because on month 0 you haven't you have no debt with this financial institution, so that's why month 0 the interest payment is error นะครับ so the per that you can use in the IPMT and PPMT นะครับ can be started from 1 up to at most n per นะครับ only right okay right okay นะครับ everyone so if you don't have any question let me move on to the next example that I would like you to do it by yourself นะครับ okay ครับ everyone so in this example number 2 นะครับ for IPMT นะครับ I would like you to do it by yourself again ครับ please spend 5 minutes นะครับ in order to find out this interest นะครับ for this case and type the formula นะครับ with the numbers inside your arguments instead of the reference in cells นะครับ and the interest amount for quarter 1 and quarter 2 ครับ 5 minutes ครับ everyone just like start doing it now นะครับ โอเคก้องกีฬากรครับ that's good you sent your answer already นะครับโอเคครับ time's up นะครับ everyone so if you still calculating for the IPMT in this and in this question นะครับ when I'm explaining if you have the answer feel free to just like type it in the chat box นะครับโอเค so in this case Gong Gidagon shows us that okay the first quarter is $1591, second quarter is $37.78. okay now let's see นะครับ how do we gonna calculate this okay let me just like copy this list of the arguments a bit นะครับ okay Q1 and Q2 okay นะครับ this one you ask to find the interest payment that is IPMT again and then we would like to find out IPMT นะครับ or interest during quarter 1 and quarter 2 okay I set it up already the next one นะครับ we say that investment this case is investment case นะครับ current value is 0 so present value or current value is 0 นะครับ we require to reach 5,000 over 2 years that mean future value we aim to be 5,000 นะครับ over 2 years 2 years นะครับ it's n per นะครับ 2 years we have to change it to be number of quarters too because in this one it's quarterly basis as we need to find out the interest payment during different quarters นะครับ then just change n per to be number of quarters by multiply 2 by 4 then we have 8 quarters นะครับ next the interest rate is 3.5% per year นะครับ 3.5% per year we have to change it to be per quarter by divided by 4 นะครับ this is interest rate per quarter next payment made at start of each quarter so type is 1นะครับ we have to think about the quarter one first to see how is it. Okay, right. So IPMT นะครับ IPMT we have rate that is 3.5% divided by 4 comma period 1 n per is 8 นะครับ present value is 0 future value is 5,000 นะครับ and type is 1 okay. So you can see that in this oneนะครับ in this one the first quarter is 0. I think that some of you calculate the same thing as my one, but when you get 0 you thought that oh it's wrong, then you try to fix the problem, but you can still get the 0 นะครับ okay, no problem ครับ I'll explain to you later. I just like get this 0 นะครับ okay. For quarter 2 I do the same thing นะครับ okay, but this one is for quarter 2 period is 2 instead. Oh sorry, what happened? Over 4, sorry, n per is 8, sorry, period 2 n per is 2 times 4 comma present value 0 future value 5,000 comma type 1 okay. Yep. So the IPMT for quarter 1 นะครับ I get $0. IPMT for quarter 2 I get just $5.26 นะครับ in this one okay, this one belong นะครับ let me check this one a little bit. Okay, so in this one นะครับ let me explain to you actually นะครับ actually the amount of interest that you just like calculate in here is different from the first case ครับ is different from the first example. First example is the investment, right? Sorry, first example is the loan. So for the loan who pay the interest ครับ customer or bank ครับ everyone can you please type your ideas, your opinion in the chat box ครับ when you get the loan from the bank and when you pay the money back to the bank, who needs to pay interest, customer or bank? Can you please type your answer in the chat box ครับ okay, so some of you answer that is customer, right? Who do you think that the bank has to pay the interest? No, right? Because you borrow the money, you have to pay interest. That's why นะครับ if you have a look on the first calculation, interest is negative because when it's negative means you pay out. Remember this fact that I told you, when the amount of money is negative, it means that the money is out of your pocket. Okay, now when you calculate for the second นะครับ for the second example here นะครับ okay let me just type for you this is quarter 1 this is quarter 2 you can see that in this case นะครับ when we calculate the IPMT is either 0 or positive numbers. What happened to this one? When we talk about this, you can see that when we talk about the investments นะครับ you invest the money นะครับ to a financial institution in this case for example if you go to deposit the money in the saving accounts to the bank who has to pay the interest ครับ you pay or the bank pay can you just like type your answer or your ideas in the chat box ครับ everyone when you deposit the money to the bank who pay the interest to you yeah okay right now everyone say that it's the bank that's why have a look on quarter 2's interest payment ครับ it is positive number $5.26 that means the bank has to pay you ครับ because interest is positive number นะครับ that's why it's positive 5.26 let's try something together ครับ everyone I wanna just like calculate the interest for quarter 8 ครับ and see what happened ครับ per is 8 นะครับ so right now I just like use a referencing นะครับ IPMT have a look on the intermediate result นะครับ the intermediate result show us positive 37.78 it means that the interest is increasing to be $37.78 นะครับ in quarter number 8 that means the interest is the most นะครับ in quarter 8 because we cannot have quarter 9 anymore the contract finish at 8 quarters นะครับ that's why right now นะครับ the formula result show us that it is positive 37.78 นะครับ this one means that when you invest นะครับ on the very first month interest นะครับ is not much but when the time goes by you receive more and more and more interest นะครับ this one makes the answer นะครับ from investment to be deposit from loan because on the loan case the very first period that you pay the money most of the amount of the money that you pay is the interest while the investment case นะครับ the very first month or the very first period that you pay you get like few interest and then in the interest will be more it is opposite way around นะครับ to the loan case okay right so anything that you did I think นะครับ you did it correctly already นะครับ but if you some of you may be just like confused that the amount of money is positive and also why it's more and more when we compare with the first example it's less and less from 208 นะครับ down to 392 something like that this one you don't do anything wrong นะครับ I know that someone try to just like change FV to be negative 5,000 no the things that you do is correct already because the investment นะครับ FV future value we aim to get 5,000 that's why it is positive value นะครับ okay right okay then นะครับ for the IPMT นะครับ it's like this up to this point do you have any questions ครับ anyone so if you don't have any questions นะครับ let me just like continue with the PPMT นะครับ the PPMT is a part of the payment that we just like mentioned earlier you can see that the amount of money that you pay in every month นะครับ consists of two parts principal and interest. The first part that we discussed that I taught you was like the interest payments นะครับ but now we are going to talk about the other part that is principal payments in here นะครับ principal payment in here. So the PPMT is the function that we use in order to find out the principal นะครับ payment or payment on principal นะครับ on the loan or an investment นะครับ so PPMT นะครับ returns payment on principal for given investment based on periodic constant payment and constant interest rate นะครับ we still need to use similar set of arguments that are rate per and per PV FV and type. All right, so let me just like begin with the first example for you นะครับ the second example I'll let you just like do it at home by yourself. For the first example here นะครับ for the first example here you can see that for the payment on principal, this one they ask you to find payments on principal during month 1 and month 2 on a loan of 50,000. Okay, when you ask to find payment on principal, then I just set up the list of argument for payment on principal first. It needs rate per and per PV FV and type นะครับ on month 1 and month 2. Okay, now นะครับ in month 1 let's do it first นะครับ during month 1 and month 2 on a loan of 50,000 means that when you are talking about loan it's PV นะครับ present value is positive 50,000 that you borrow from the bank นะครับ you would like to pay it off in full over 5 years, then FV is 0 over 5 years is in per 5 times 12 ครับ okay. With an interest rate 5%. So that means when you, it is monthly basis นะครับ then you have to just like calculate the rate to be on monthly basis. It is 5% divided by 12 as well นะครับ per month. And then นะครับ payment made at the end of each month is 0 and period is period number 1 นะครับ on month 1. So PPMT is PPMT นะครับ followed by 5% over 12 นะครับ comma period number 1 comma n per is 5 times 12 or 60 months นะครับ PV present value is positive 50,000 FV is 0 type is 0 นะครับ this is the PPMT of this example นะครับ you can see that it is negative 735.23 negative 35 not sorry negative 735.23 นะครับ now let's do the same thing with month number 2 ครับ and see what happened to month number 2 นะครับ in here I copy the formula นะครับ okay to this cell and then I change the period from period 1 to period 2 นะครับ let's see what happened. You can see that in here นะครับ this is period 2. The principal that you pay นะครับ the principal that you pay on first month you pay 735.23 นะครับ and on month 2 it is 738. I'm sorry, I think let me just check whether I do something wrong. Yeah, it's PPMT. Yeah, percent value. Yeah, the second month that you pay is 733.29. If you see the amount 738 is more than 735, right? So you can see that in the proportion of principal on month 1 นะครับ is less than proportion of principal payment on month 2. And if you try on month 60 นะครับ if you try on month 60 let's see what happened นะครับ if you have a look นะครับ for month number 60 majority that you pay นะครับ goes to principal payment you can see that it's more and more and more right for the amount of money that's why นะครับ you can see that in this diagram that I show you the proportion of the principal is more นะครับ and it's maximum on the last period of time in the contract นะครับ okay so before we finish this let me just give you an example so that you can just like go back and do it by yourself นะครับ This is another example of the PPMT that I would like you to do นะครับ so please do it by yourself นะครับ you don't need to do it now just like do it by yourself later when you have time just copy this example into your worksheet first ครับ and when you have time just do it นะครับ okay. right okay then นะครับ that should be all for today นะครับ up to this point นะครับ everyone do you have any questions ครับ okay, let me capture my screen first okay. So if you don't have any questions นะครับ everyone could you please turn on your camera ครับ